Hello, Professor. My name is Saurabh Kori. My student ID is 8712975. So, in this part, I'm going to demonstrate for the final project. So, this is the topology I have built for my final project. So, according to the design requirements, the topology consists of three sites: site A, site B, and site C. So this is the site A, this is site B, site C. I've named site A as Waterloo site, site B as Kitchener site, and site C as Gulf site. After the sites, I have, as we were given a single IP address with a CIDR notation of 28, I have used a total of 12 IPs, and I have assigned the IPs to the topology and all the network devices. So the site A is this site is configured with EIGRP over here. The site B is configured with EIGRP as well OSPF. So the site B, this part is configured with EIGRP, whereas this part is configured with OSPF and this part is configured with RIP. So continuing, before going ahead, I configured all the network devices with the basic configuration that was like MOTD, password, login, and all that stuff. All the three sites can communicate with each other. So let me just show you. I can ping from this server. I can ping it to this PC. So it's 10.200.8.146. There you go. So all the three edge routers, this one, Waterloo router edge 1, Kitchener edge 2, and Gulf edge 3, they are configured with EIGRP. And I've also given them MD5 authentication. Looking at Waterloo site B, the basic configured are done, and the edge router of Waterloo is connected to the access router. The access router are connected to the three switches, and I've configured these switches with STP for intercommunication and so that they don't broadcast loops. And there's a TACAS server for authentication login, for login authentication, and the edge, and it is for the login authentication is for the edge router and the access router. So if you go in this, so this is Waterloo edge router. Secret 55, enable. So we can enter, so this is used for logging in, and if we go to the TACAS router, services, AAA, here we can see that I have added the client Waterloo edge router, which is this one, with the IP client IP 10.200.8.18, server type TACAS, secret 55, and same I've done for the access router. I've added the username new user and secret 55. If you want more, we can add more users, like I have done SK2975 and SK, just SK, and we can add, or we can just remove any users we want. If you go to the edge router and you can see over here that I have AAA authentication login is enabled, and the default group for this is Takas Plus, and it is Takas Plus, and the local login is this one. If we go to the down part, oh, sorry. Just let me show you separately. Show run, include MD5. So it shows we have done two EIGRP MD5. So for this router, the one is done over here and the another one is done over here. Moving ahead, if we go to the switch 1, and if I do show spanning tree, we can see that this is the bridge. This is the bridge route, and all the ports in this are designated ports. If we go to another switch, this router is not a bridge route, and over here we can see that it has a lock, and for this router, sorry, switch, oh, this switch has the root port. So this is done so that the main reason to do it is so we don't have loop back, and also we don't have to they are the designated ports, and it is to for the it is used for intercommunication and redistribute it. So if we go to the this router over here is the main router, which does all the communication. So we have logged in, and in this it uses EIGRP and OSPF to communicate, and we have redistributed the EIGRP and OSPF to show you. Show run, begin router EIGRP. So you can see over here that we have done the OSPF in EIGRP, and for the Gulf router, we can see over here in this router we have done RIP in EIGRP1, as this router from this side it is done RIP, and this side is done with EIGRP, and we have also done EIGRP in RIP using version 2. So if we as this all are connected, we can go to PC1. So these PCs are connected with VLAN 5 and VLAN 10. We can see on this layer 3 switch. On this layer 3 switch, it is if you see at the bottom end, we can see that VLAN 5 is up with 10.200.8.81, and VLAN 10 is also up. So this is VLAN 5, this is VLAN 5, and these both are VLAN 10. And also I would like to show you for this switch. We have used the VLANs. If you see the fast Ethernet 0x3, it is VLAN 5, and if you see fast Ethernet 0x4, it is VLAN 10. The layer 3 switch has been set to trunking for all intercommunication and inter-VLAN routing. If we go to this PC, we are able to ping from this side to any of the PCs or servers over here, or just to show you, we can access the web browser for this web server by just giving its address, and there you go, you can access the web server. So this shows that our IPs and routes are all configured, and also we can access from this PC. So it's going to be SSH-L new user. We just have to get the IP for the edge routers. 200.8.18 secret 55, and there you go. We can access through SSH from any PC to the other network PC. New user secret 55. There you go. And as usual, we can see the configurations. And everything, and also the passwords are being encrypted for every device and everything. And we can see over here that we have done EIGRP MD5 authentication for each interface 0x1. And we have used as I told you in the previous one, we have used AAA authentication login default group and TechAS servers. That's everything. Thank you. Hello, Professor. My name is Saurabh Kori, and this is the topology for portfolio 4. And in this topology, we have used VLAN, HTTP, and VTP to configure. We have the networks connected through EIGRP is done for the networks. We have two routers, HQ router, that is headquarter router, and one branch router. The branch router has one switch, and the one switch is connected to a PC. The HQ router is done to the PC with a server and a PC. And for HQ router, again, we have 3 switches and we have 3 VLAN networks. So we have 3 pieces over here, 3 pieces over here with VLAN 5, VLAN 10, and VLAN 15. So we have to configure the switches with the VTP, with the spanning protocol and VTP. So for creating the VLAN networks, the PC over here with VLAN 5, VLAN 10, and VLAN 15, we have to do the VLAN networking so it can access the PC1 from this PC, or this PC can be done to this PC, or this PC can be done to this PC, as this is a whole separate department and this is the whole separate one, and even this is a whole separate one. Moving on. So the switch 1 is the VTP server, as we can see over here, with the domain name has been added. So the switch 2 and switch 3 are the client servers for this switch, and this is the client switch. So if we go in this switch, as we can see over here that the switch 2 is the client switch or the client server. And even if we see over here, it has a domain for the switch 1. The switch 1, this domain has been added to this, and the same has been done to this switch with, if you see over here, the fast Ethernet for this switch 0x1 is having VLAN 5, and fast Ethernet 02 is having VLAN 10, and fast Ethernet 03 is having VLAN 15. And if we go back in this switch, VLAN 5, or we can use 10, or we can use 15. Oops. So we can see over here that the configuration does not allow us to do any changes, as this switch and this switch is in the client mode. And if you want to make any changes, we have to go in this switch 1. VLAN, you can give 5, 10 or 15. So we already have the VLAN 15 available, and we have entered the config VLAN for 15, and we can just name the network by any name, and you can just take your name. So I have used office, PROD and administration for these names. And after that, we can create the VLAN network for it. And we can also do the interface for VLAN directly like this, and we can assign the IP addresses for the VLANs which we have to use. So in this switch, we have used the fast Ethernet 01 for VLAN 1 as is the main, and the last, and at the bottom we can see that VLAN 5 is set. For VLAN 5 is up, VLAN 10, VLAN 15 with the IPs of 4.1, 4.9 and 4.17 with the default gateway of this, and this network has the default gateway of this. After the configuration, we have to go to router, and we have to enable the sub interfaces. So we can see that the fast Ethernet 0x0.5 is enabled, fast Ethernet 0x0 is .10 is enabled, and fast Ethernet 0x0.15 has also been enabled. Although I did everything and EIGRP was set, also let me just show you. CC85 enable secret 55 show run. So if you see over here, we have added the domain name, we have put the spanning tree and spanning tree mode, and the PVST is generated automatically, so we don't have to do that. The EIGRP authentication is the EIGRP is done with MD5 authentication, and also the interface for for VLAN 5, VLAN 10, VLAN 15 has an encapsulation of dot 10 5. Sorry, it's dot LQ5, LQ10, and LQ15. And these are the IDs that we have used: 5, 10, and 5, 10, and 15. And although I did assign all the IP addresses and I did the EIGRP configuration, I was not able to get ping from this network to this networks and other networks. I don't know why. I tried troubleshooting it, but I was not able to get the pings from this PC to this PC. Thank you.